I am Monica Timmerman, and I am running for Shelby County Commissioner for District 3. That is Bartlett, Lakeland, and Ellendale.
Monica, why do you want to be a Shelby County Commissioner?
I decided that I wanted to do this job, well, for a number of reasons. I got very, very tired of talking about the problems in the city, but feeling like anybody in charge didn't really want to hear their constituents' opinions. So I know that I don't mean for it to sound cliche or trite, but that phrase that be the change you want to see in the world, I really try to live that. So when I felt like there were changes that need to be made in our community and in our government, why not me? I mean, you know, why not me? And so that's why I decided to run.
Why the commission?
Well, it was an open seat, for one. That was David Reeves, who currently sits in the seat, is not running again. He was extremely popular. I didn't really want to run against him because I didn't feel like I would have much of a shot. But when it came out that he wouldn't be running again, I thought that that would be really the next logical step for me, or the first step, I guess, because the commission, I think the commission is an underrated body, really, by the mass public. I think they don't really understand it. They don't know what it does, but it is such a critical governing body in this city, or in this county, that they should know what it does. You know, it's important. They clearly do the budget and appropriate funds or allocate funds, make ordinances, and I understand the law, for starters. I'm an attorney. So I understand the law. More importantly, I understand what we cannot do, at least most of the time, or the spidey sense, you know, may go up, that something feels wrong about that. I think that I would be a good addition to the commission, especially with 8 of them being brand new, which I would be new too. But I think that with my education and with my training, I think I can jump in there head first and develop a plan of attack.
What kind of law do you practice, and in your practice, what have you seen that you sort of makes you want to get in there and work on county government?
So I have a general practice. Primarily, the bulk of my practice is criminal defense work. And it's not the bulk of my money, but it's by volume, because I love it, and that's why I keep doing it. Then I also do family and personal injury and some probate. The criminal defense side is really the side that opened my eyes to issues that the police have in this community, as well as our defendants. And they really cannot always be separated. Our police are underpaid, and they don't have good resources, and they don't have appropriate training. And what that leads to is bad investigations, not guilties, and I'm guilty of getting not guilties, you know, because it's so easy. It really is easy to attack their investigations. And I kind of feel like, I don't want to feel like I have a forked tongue, you know, that in the one sense I'm a criminal defense attorney and I sort of make my living by defending people that have been accused of crimes, and at the same time saying the police need more resources. But I'm a citizen of this community. I want to live in a safe community. And the vast majority of the time, my clients are not just totally wrongfully accused. They might not have done all that, right? But they didn't. I think people think that criminal defense attorneys, he's innocent, you know, 100% of the time. We're just like, they didn't do anything. And that's not really the reality. But being in there and really critiquing investigations, what they could do, what they do, what they should do if they had resources for it, that is one of the things that I have learned in my practice that I think could very much benefit this county.
And how could you impact that as a county commissioner?
The budget.
budget, finding more resources
Yeah, for our police.
for law enforcement.
Yes, and training. And of course, the body cam issue is, I think people have stopped talking about it a little bit, but we're still not being provided with body cam footage. And I think if everybody had, I think that would help everybody. It'd help our police, it'll help our defendants. We've got to get that in order. Now that's, I don't think, a commission issue, unless it's a funding issue. That's, I think, a DA issue. They got to get that process together for how to get it to us. But if there is funding problems, those need to be addressed. And they need to have whatever they need to get that process started.
Tell us about the three biggest issues in your district.
So my district consists of Bartlett, Lakeland, and Ellendale.
Okay.
And I would say that my three biggest issues are taken probably one from each place. In Bartlett, not a sexy issue, but it's a big issue. There's this sewer problem where the city or Strickland has cut off some of Bartlett's access to sewers that they were using previously by agreement. And he's cut off most of it except for this. No, he's cut off this Fletcher's Trace area and that is really inhibiting development there. And they're talking about if it doesn't change, you'll have whole neighborhoods that are on like one septic kind of system, like a super septic system. I know that sounds, it's very dumbed down what I'm saying because it's very complicated. I've been talking to engineers and stuff out there and I'm still trying to wrap my mind around really what all it means, but it's inhibiting development and it's going to be extremely costly for new builders. So that's a big issue facing Bartlett right now is their agreement with the city over the use of these sewage lines. In Lakeland's just got a whole slew of issues going on out there. There's, of course, the Lake District, which we really need to look at very closely. I'm excited about the Lake District if it comes to fruition, but there are some issues with the funding for that project. That is a TIF project that has not been renewed. Is it going to be? What will the new plan say? There's not a lot of transparency with the constituents of that district, with the people of Lakeland. They are very much at odds with their mayor and their board of commissioners. So there's the Lake District issue plus the school issue. I think that's the biggest issue in Lakeland is the school and the $60 million that they voted against, and then the mayor and board of commissioners took out the bonds to fund it anyway. And then of course there was the lawsuit, which has been dismissed recently for mootness. But they haven't announced what their plans are for that moving forward. Is the mayor, are they going to take out new bonds? Because the bonds they had expired. That was the only reason the case was dismissed as moot, because their bonds had expired. I don't think that was a good ruling for my own legal reasons, because I think it's capable of repetition but evading review. But what they're going to do next in regards to that, I think is going to be a huge issue in Lakeland. For my Ellendale folks, who's the unincorporated area that I would represent, they are having a lot of problems with services. They shut down a fire station that was out there, and in the last year they've had 3 houses burned to the ground. Are those related? I think at first blush you could say probably, but we need to look at proximity to fire stations. Could it have been avoided if that fire station was there? But that has been a big concern for them, and they've reached out to me on that. The fire station, as well as just regular services that city residents or Bartlett residents get that they don't really know who to turn to for trash pickup, for code enforcement. Is there code enforcement in the unincorporated area? So those are some issues that they're very concerned
All
about.
3 of those basically are growth and development issues.
Yes.
Which is something, so how, as a county commissioner, how would you balance the growth and development issues of the suburban areas and the unincorporated areas with the very different growth and development issues of like inner city, North Memphis, South Memphis, downtown?
Right. I think you have to prioritize need. Okay, so as much as I would I want to work on these things that are important to the people of my district. There are children in other districts. Children are my number one thing. Okay, I'm a mom. I have 3 of them. I have 3 that are very well taken care of and very well provided for, and that is not the case with every child in this city. And if there are children or schools or other issues that need attention and need funding, that kind of has to take priority, in my opinion. There's something that happened in Lakeland the other night. They agreed to pave all the streets for this one community that's really 55 and up, right? And somebody in the audience stood up and they said, these roads are rated a 7 out of 10. You have other roads in this community that are rated 1s and 2s. Why is the 7 getting paved before the 1 and 2? Well, the 7's getting paved because 55 and older, they turn out to vote, right? And we can't make decisions like that, and it might ruin my political career having that kind of an attitude. But we've got to get our priorities straight. Period. In government in this county, and that's whether you're in Memphis or anywhere. And children always have to be our priority. Education always has to be a priority. And if it means that an already affluent part of town doesn't get something, they're going to have to be okay with that.
Okay, tell me about, you say you're a criminal defense attorney.
Yes, ma'am.
But tell me about give me an example of a client you defended who may or may not have done something, but how you, if you were in a situation where you defended this client, but you could see some of the needs that, we have in the city as far as economics and things like that through the plight of that particular client. Like if somebody, stole something because they were hungry or something like that. I mean, how does, in other words, I guess my question is how has your experience as a criminal defense attorney given you any insight into socioeconomic problems in the city and in the county?
I have seen just in my tenure as an attorney an uptick in heroin cases. Heroin is huge right now. And in regards to specifically socioeconomic issues, a lot of the individuals that I represent are drug addicts, or this is the only life they know. That to them, it's not really, they just got caught, but they were sort of raised in this environment that glamorized drugs and guns and gangs. And they have naturally grown up and fallen into that. And it's hard to talk to those individuals about, what else you can do, because they don't, and you worry about them. Even if you get them a good result and you get them out on probation or you get them dismissed, and then a year later they're your client again, and it's sad. And I think, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
It all comes back to me for educating young children. And if we can get little children excited about education and excited about opportunities outside of their neighborhood or outside of Memphis, I don't know, just get them excited about learning and a future and help them understand they've got a future. I have clients who will say to me, they're 22 or 23, but it's my first time to get arrested, Ms. Timmerman. They're proud of that fact because they've made it 5 years since they turned 18 without getting arrested, or 2 years. And we've got to change that thinking. And I don't know how to do that. I don't think government needs to be in your home telling you how to necessarily raise your family, but our children do need bedtime stories and routines. And
it goes back to your original point about priorities. It's open your eyes to having the right priorities. Children first, children in need first.
And decreasing the school to prison pipeline, which is what we have. And we have to we have to figure out what to do in this community to reduce that. I don't know all the answers. I'm just willing to go look for them and figure out what's worked in other places and what we can bring home. Mr. Waters knows this, but you may not. My undergraduate degree was in journalism. And well, it's been very helpful for me as an attorney and just in my life, because I don't form opinions real quick. You know, I tend to ask a lot of questions and ask everybody, both sides. I don't need people to endorse my position. I'm trying to fetter it out. So I want to hear from detractors as much as people that support what I'm saying, because your detractors sometimes are making very good points that need to be addressed. So that's one thing that's very, very much, I feel like, benefited me just as a human, as an attorney, and I think will help me in government, is being open-minded and not being so... I'm afraid I'm about to say something bad, but kind of not having like Democrat blinders on or Republican blinders on. I am on the Democrat ticket. I'm the Democrat nominee. But based on something, or voting on something based on whether or not the person proposed it has a D or an R behind their name, is tearing this country apart, period. I'd run as an independent if I thought I could get support. Honestly, because I'm very kind of like most people, though, right? I'm middle of the road. Most people that I talk to, we all agree on the same things. It's these extreme issues and national issues that tend to divide us.
So if you've campaigned, as you've campaigned, both in the primary as well as general, what have you learned about yourself?
About myself?
Yeah. I'm talking to constituents and going to meetings. I'm sure you're going door to door. You're going to
Sure.
forums.
Clearly, I love talking to people. Now, I already knew that about myself. that was not news to me. I hate asking for money. I do not like asking for money at all. But I have learned that my skin is thicker than I thought it would be, because most of the time when I'm out talking to people, they're kind, you know, and I've had some people say, honey, I wish you the best of luck, but I'm a diehard Republican. I'm sorry. You know, and you get a sense of whether you can keep talking to somebody or whether you should just walk away. But I've been surprised at how easy it's been to walk away and not take it with me, right, and keep it with me and worry about it. Because when I was younger, I would have. You know, I would have just fretted and worried over that one person that maybe didn't like what I had to say. And the older I get, the less I think that's natural too. The older you get, the less you really, you know, care so much about one bad opinion. You know, but I've actually really, really loved it. I've loved campaigning. That part I've liked. There have been things that have shocked me about the political process. Like ballots.
What do you mean?
It's nonsense. Ballots. Y'all aren't gonna like air this on TV or anything, are you?
Not on TV. No. This is all being taped.
It's just like sort of off the record.
No, not at all. It's all on the record.
So ballots, I learned that they hand out, you know, at the polls to people that are going in to vote, and a lot of people. I never did, but a lot of people take those very seriously. And if they get a ballot from IBEW or from, you know, a Hazel, I forget her name, but she's somebody in Whitehaven that's super important.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yes. That has your picture on it, they're going to vote for you. What I did not know was that to get your picture on that ballot, all you have to do is be the highest bidder, right? You just have to offer to pay enough money for their endorsement. And what is that doing for anyone? Like they're not talking to people about issues, or you're not on that ballot because you're really the best candidate. You're on that ballot because you paid the most money to be on that ballot. And I don't want to have any part of it. And that's where me and my political consultant are kind of, you know, he's kind of getting frustrated with me because I'm like, I don't need to pay them to put my picture on something and say, I've never even talked to this person, but they're going to endorse me. I don't know. It just it bothers me.
So things like that have been discouraging. But
yes.
Overall, has campaigning what kind of impact has that had on your understanding or view of the community itself?
Overall, campaigning has been a wonderful experience. As I've been out talking to people, I have found that more than not, whether Democrat or whether Republican, they'll say to me, well, I don't vote party, I vote person. And the same things are important to everybody. We want safe communities. We want our children to be able to go to public school and get good education. We want our police to have the resources that we need, and we want small businesses to be able to grow and thrive. That's something both sides want. What I have seen is that our loudest voices, I feel like, tend to be the most extreme. The people with the most extreme positions tend to yell the loudest, and I think that adds to that divide. Because when that's all you're hearing from the other side is the crazy, you think they're all crazy. And they're not. Most Republicans aren't crazy, and most Democrats aren't crazy. There's just crazies in each bunch that tend to get really loud.
You're going to represent them all.
I'm going to represent them all.
Thank you, Monica.
Okay, well, thank y'all for talking to me.
Hey, thank you.